What's like the vibe Lagos is giving to you so far, though? Like, how are you loving the Lagos vibe? Like is Lagos a place where you'd be like, you know what, I'm relocating from South Africa to come stay?
I think it's safe to say I'm not going back again. It's amazing. It's been amazing. I'm not even looking forward to going back. I just want to explore more. I want to stay longer and just see what happens next.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. So Miss Universe Nigeria 2024 Chidimma Adetshina is back in the news again after being arrested a few weeks ago and is now awaiting deportation after she and her minor son were found to be living in Cape Town illegally. In the entire Chidimma Adetshina saga with Home Affairs dating back to 2024, Home Affairs has maintained that Chidimma Adetshina is not the target because her mother, Anabela Rungo, is the one who allegedly obtained a fraudulent South African ID under the name Saramoyo in December 2001. She then used this Saramoyo identity to apply for a birth certificate and a South African passport for her daughter, Chidimma Adetshina. So why is Chidimma Adetshina, who had nothing to do with her mother's actions in 2001, suddenly getting the smoke, you ask? According to Minister of Home Affairs Leon Schrader, Chidimma was notified in 2024 that both her and her son's South African identity documents had been cancelled. He claimed that Chidimma failed to respond to the department's notice. Chidimma Adetshina was born in South Africa to a Nigerian father who has permanent residency and a Mozambican mother, Anabela Rungo, who has since been accused of registering her birth in South Africa using fraudulent documents. So instead of sorting out her stay in South Africa back in 2024, Chidimma left for Nigeria to pursue her Miss Universe prospects. She was then issued a Nigerian passport while in Nigeria. Chidimma later applied for a South African visa, which was rejected because she submitted a fraudulent statement. She also applied for a letter of good cause, which was rejected as well. As a result, Chidimma was declared a prohibited person. So when things died down after her Miss Universe run in Mexico and her relationship with Miss Universe Nigeria turned sour, Chidimma made a return to South Africa despite being declared a prohibited person. Chidimma entered South Africa illegally through the Libombo border post from Mozambique, presenting herself as a South African citizen and with her minor son. Before we continue, I want us to watch just how corrupt some South African officials at Home Affairs have been so that we can be satisfied and not feel like we are defending them. So I want us to fully acknowledge the actions of the South African officials at Home Affairs so that when we are discussing the actions of Chidimma's mother and Chidimma, you don't go like, but it's the South African officials. The South African officials played their part 100%, so did Chidimma's mother. But now Chidimma has her own transgressions that has led to her arrest and awaiting deportation.
South Africa is being sold one permit at a time, and that's really no exaggeration. The Special Investigating Unit today revealing that its probe at Home Affairs uncovered a network of dodgy officials selling permits to foreigners. Exhibit A, self-proclaimed prophet, Malawian national Shepherd Bushiri, the very man who fled the country to escape rape charges. The SIU found that he and members of his church had fabricated documents to help him acquire his permanent residence permit. That permit was adjudicated by another member of his church. Now, he's not the only pastor who entered South Africa via nefarious means. Timothy Omatoso was also singled out for a fraudulently obtained work permit to a pattern of deception to stay in South Africa. The SIU's interim report details how this unholy duo and many others bought or conned their way into the country.
South Africa's immigration system has been treated as a marketplace where permits and visas are sold to the highest bidder. Officials entrusted with safeguarding the integrity of the Department of Home Affairs, instead of turning their position into a profit-making scheme, while external actors, including Prophet Shepherd Bushiri, Mr. Mpofu, and a Nigerian rapper, which is Prince Obioma, exploited influence, fabricated documentation, and manipulated systems weaknesses to secure permanent residence.
Now, since this is an interim report, these findings are most likely only the tip of a very large corruption iceberg. So let's look at some of the highlights. After a whistleblower comes forward, 5 Home Affairs refugee reception officers are searched and devices are confiscated in 2024. Cell phone analysis unearths communication between officials and foreign nationals with visas and permits issued for between 500 Rand and 3,000 Rand a pop. 4 officials earning around 25,000 Rand a month rake in 16.3 million rand in direct deposits. In other cases, officials use their spouses' bank accounts to disguise the bribes to fast-track approvals for visas and permits. The husband of one official had 8.9 million rand deposited into his construction business account.
A lot of people have been defending Chidimma Adetshina, saying it's her mother that committed the fraud and not her, which is very fair. But submitting a fraudulent statement in her visa application and then entering through the Mozambican border while presenting herself as a South African citizen, despite being declared a prohibited person, that's poking the bear. Those are now her actions as an adult and no longer linked to her mother's case. That is why she was arrested and is awaiting deportation. By the way, in the many interviews Chidimma gave during her run in Miss Universe Nigeria, she maintained that she's both South African and Nigerian, yet when she returned from Nigeria, she entered South Africa through the back door, via Mozambique, where her mother is from.
But I don't want it to come in a very negative way because as much as I'm still fighting for my identity, I am still proudly South African and I'm still proudly Nigerian.
For clarity, how are you a South African?
I was born in South Africa. Yes.
Well, to Nigerian parents?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Why go through such extreme lengths if you know you are South African? She probably has never been to Mozambique until she had to come back to South Africa from Nigeria. Our South African borders are non-existent. Does this mean there are many other prohibited people that come through South Africa via Mozambique? I think the most appropriate step for Chidimma would have been to restart the process legally and follow the correct migration channels. Home Affairs was not targeting her personally because the main case is against her mother, Anabela Rungo, and the alleged fraud. I fully sympathize with Chidimma and her struggles to remain in Nigeria, given that she spent her entire life in South Africa, but her decision to submit a fraudulent statement and then enter the country via Mozambique while prohibited, now she has her own transgressions that she was arrested and will be deported for. Look, what Chidimma and many others need to understand is that South Africa does have immigration laws, and just because certain officials are taking bribes, giving a South African passport for sale, it doesn't mean that's the law. Bribing at Home Affairs as a foreigner to get your South African ID is not as harmless as it sounds, because when you get your ID, there's a South African that cannot exist because you now exist as them. So that is why Chidimma Adetshina's consequences seemed very harsh, where they stripped her citizenship, but it needs to happen. Stripping that citizenship sends a message that anyone thinking of coming through the Mozambican border and bribing a Home Affairs official should know that if they are caught, the consequences can follow them even decades later. They will follow even their offsprings. Anyway, Chidimma Adetshina was released on a warning and is set to appear in the Cape Town Regional Court on the 16th of July as the Department of Home Affairs continue to pursue her deportation. Do let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching.